Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Ukraine Media Center Ukrinform continues its operation. It's year 9 of the war and day 258 of the heroic resistance of the Ukrainian people. And now we will be talking about the situation in Mykolaiv region. Joining us online is the military governor of Mykolaiv region, Vitaly Kim. Mr. Vitaly, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Last hour, air lead alert was in effect in Mykolaiv region. What is the situation as of now, and how did the last 24 hours pass? The last 24 hours were relatively quiet. We only have one injured civilian. There were no shellings on the community, and there was no attempts of shooting the the regional center. Currently, air lead alert is cancelled. 2 rockets passed by. They went in the northern direction, in the northwestern direction. What's the situation with the critical infrastructure in the city, and what's going on with the power shutdowns? We have rolling power shutdowns from 9 to 11 today. 30 towns and villages were switched off, but generally all the critical infrastructure functions correctly. The units of National Guard and armed forces downed a few rockets which tried to attack the critical infrastructure, and it functions correctly. Did you manage to start the heating season in the region? Now the average daily temperature is about 10 degrees centigrade, so we will take the resolution on starting the heating season today. We know that there was an information spread with regard to the evacuation in Mykolaiv region. You stated that this information is not true. Can you comment on that? The Russian internet troops, they created a fake account. They just copied name and surname of our press officer and added with the small groups, and they started spreading information about the evacuation of Mykolaiv, about the prepared evacuation in Mykolaiv. This situation is not true. Everything is quite on contrary. Mr. Vitaly, what is the amount of population remaining in the region as of today? It's hard to answer, but the population is increasing. It's more than a half, so it's more than 600,000 people. We know that many regions came to help to Mykolaiv region. What kind of help is required in the region at the moment? Everybody helps, both international partners and the government and the president of Ukraine and volunteers. The pace of support slowed down a little bit, so we changed the vector, because currently the main support is being required by the critical infrastructure, so the reconstruction kits, the pumps, the pipes, diesel generators, fuel. We are currently trying to be better prepared to the problems that we may face in winter. Dear colleagues, your questions, please. Irina Momchur, Ukrinform, good afternoon. I have 2 questions. First is, recently the occupant governor of Kherson, Stremousov, stated that this is quietness that we see currently, it may be before the future offensive, for the following offensive on Mykolaiv. Can you comment it with regard to the activization of Russian internet troops, and what can it mean in general? Thank you. Well, I've seen him say something. I don't know how to interpret it correctly. Usually he has a word diarrhea. I don't take him seriously ever, because he says anything that comes up to his head, that it's some calmness before the storm. He talks about probably himself. Our troops work work on a daily basis on their logistics installations, and there is no calmness back there in their ranks. Another question, if I may, it's maybe related more to the municipal authorities. Maybe you have this information. As of today, what's the situation with the supply of timber and coal in the private sector in Mykolaiv, in the city of Mykolaiv and Mykolaiv region in general? And what's the situation with potable water? Because there was information that the number of tank trucks will be cut down due to the temperature going down. And how do you plan to provide people with potable water in winter? Thank you for the question. The supply of timber is provided by the state subvention, and there were funds channeled to procure the timber, and Mykolaiv received a few carriages of the logs, and they were distributed in the areas where they needed, along with the city of Mykolaiv itself. Currently we allocate 1,000 cubic meters of logs, but as of now the city of Mykolaiv is fully provided with other energy sources like electric power for 100%. Some power facilities are destroyed, but they are being rebuilt, and in some residential areas they cannot get heat due to the damage. So now Mykolaiv sometimes uses these logs by a certain category of the population who live in the residential areas which were damaged, and they don't have another sources of heating. If it will be necessary, we will provide more of it, but the scheme is already built and we started distributing the logs. We have another question here. Regarding the water, I can add that everything is okay. How we're planning to distribute the water: we have 100 points of water distribution. We plan to install a number of diesel generators to have the pumps working and the water heated, so everything is going to be all right. Your question, please.
Hello, Mr. Kim. Lorenzo Cremonesi from Corriere. We met about a month ago in Mykolaiv. How are you? From Corriere della Sera from Italia. Well, I have basically a question. How do you see from Mykolaiv region the offensive, the counterattack by Ukrainian towards Kherson? What are the consequences for the population over there? How you judge the proceeding of the fight? Can you give us a little bit? You are so close to the area of fight. There are many rumors about Russian using private houses, expelling people, dressing as civilians, and uses this cover to fight the Ukrainian troops. And basically, when do you think the battle will be over? I mean, namely, when the Ukrainians will be able to capture Kherson, to free Kherson, let's say. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'm happy to see you. I cannot assess the actions of our military. I know that they work 100% professionally and 3 heads over Russian occupants. As to the Kherson population, the population is about 7 to 30,000 out of 320,000, and yes, I can confirm the information of Russian troops being located in the private houses and dressed themselves as civils, or Russians being located in the private houses which were left by their residents, but not to hide, but as dressed as civils to shoot our troops, to create the picture that the city of Kherson performs some resistance. It's the movie being prepared for Russian audience, the heroic city of Kherson, but we know exactly what's going on. As to when it's going on, this is the classified information. Thank you, Mr. Vitaly. Maybe the last question as to the counter-diversion operations. We see our security service detaining the collaborationists who aim the fire on our infrastructure facilities. What's the work in that area, and what are the results? The results are here. You can see them. They will come from the official sources shortly. And there are some people being developed by the security service of Ukraine and other enforcement agencies, and that there is an integral mechanism, and no one will flee, no one will be able to evade and escape from us. Thank you for joining our air. I will remind you, we had Vitaly Kim, the military governor of Mykolaiv. Dear friends, our next briefing is at 12:30. We will have Fedor Venislavsky joining us, the People's Deputy of Ukraine, and the head of Parliamentary Committee on Defense Intelligence, and the representative of the President in the Parliament of Ukraine. Bear with us. Thank you.